Today's session, our very first session with the CSR mentorship program, is about common stressors among young adults and undergrads. So I know some of you are not in university yet, but these are just common stressors that teenagers, undergraduate students, or any young adults tend to face. And we are your mentors. My name is Brianna. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be going into my fourth year of psychology and sociology at York University's Glendon campus. And here's my other mentor, Ashwaja.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashwaja. My personal pronouns are she and her. I'm a third year psychology and music student at York University, Calumet College.
All right, and just a brief background about what CSR is and what the CSR Charity Mentorship Program is. So you were all a part of the Personal Development Mentorship, and that means that every 3 weeks, we'll be having a session just like this one, where we will discuss a topic that's in the area of personal development and or mental health. So we'll be giving a brief presentation like we are now, which will take about 15 to half an hour, 50 minutes to half an hour, and then we will have a discussion or question and answer period, which will also take about 15 minutes to half an hour. So we're going to get started with this now, and just to let you guys know, if you have any other questions or if you want any other advice outside of these sessions, you can contact us via email or WhatsApp group that we might be getting started soon. So today's topic, as I mentioned before, is going to be about common stressors among young adults and undergraduate students. So just a brief background as to what stress even is. According to the Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute, stress is feelings of emotional strain or pressure, and constant stress can lead to intense physical pain or mental strain. So for example, headaches or muscle aches or just ongoing anxiety. Anxiety is a persistent or excessive worry, and I'm sure we've all experienced some sort of stress or anxiety before in the past, but constant and excruciating stress can lead to persistent anxiety. So we're going to be talking about the common stressors that many young adults experience, and while we discuss them, we'll also offer some coping methods and mechanisms that you can use. Just as a brief introduction, because we will be covering a lot of these topics more in depth in future sessions. So one common stressor among undergraduates and young adults are obviously school demands. There's a lot of worries about grades, extracurricular activities, homework, and especially around exam season. I know myself, I get super stressed out when we have like 4 exams at a time. And this can also lead to a cycle because according to an article, low grades can cause stress, but also stress can cause low grades. And sometimes it's hard to break out of that cycle. And even that cycle also gives us stress too. So I will be giving you guys some ways to cope with these school stress, especially if you are just starting university this upcoming year, or even if you are just finishing up high school and it's exam period and things like that. So the first thing you can do is contact your school's academic services department. So every school is different, but every school does have an academic services or academic counseling where you can talk to an advisor about your courses or ways to lighten up your load, or just alternatives if you need any type of accommodations. You can also look for student counseling options. So I know when I was in high school, our school counselors were not that great, but in university, there are different student counseling options where you can talk to a professional about the school stress that you're experiencing. Besides this, you could also make time for hobbies outside of school. So just anything that brings you joy or happiness outside of your mandatory extracurricular activities or homework. So like exercising or the arts, anything like that that just brings you happiness is important to prioritize outside of a school setting. And lastly, our mentorship programs. So our future sessions will continue to dive deeper into ways to cope with stress or anxiety or other types of mental health issues that us as young adults would have going on. But the CSR mentorship program also has 2 other types of mentorships. We have the academic services academic mentorship and also professional mentorship that will help you with school and also job searching respectively. So if you're interested in that, you can leave your email address in the chat, or we also have a sign up form and you can sign up there. So another type of stress that many young adults experience is stress with friendships and relationships. So this means, disagreements among friends, the struggle with finding new friends in university. I know I experienced this because starting university was the first time I was ever alone without my friends that I had in elementary school or high school. Also, other stressors include dating or managing connections with partners and friends while managing your homework load. These are all common stressors among undergrads and young adults. Another article also stated that friendships and support systems are essential for our mental health. So making sure you have a strong connection to friends or just even your family, but friendships and relationships in general, they are essential for good mental health. So some ways to cope if you're experiencing some stress among your friendship groups or your relationships is to come to our session on friendships. So in a few weeks, we'll be having another session just like this one, but diving deeper into the topic of friendships, how to make friends in a university setting, how to make friends in an online setting specifically, now that we are all online and just meeting each other through Zoom. If you are experiencing stress around making new friends in university or managing your friendships, this would be a great session to attend. Another way to cope with stress related to your friendships or relationships is to try out different communication skills. So I put in brackets here Gottman skills. Gottman is a very famous psychologist and also a psychology organization that works with relationship therapy specifically. And if you just look on their website or Google Gottman's communication skills, there are 4 main types of skills that Gottman suggests that people use when having or addressing a conflict or just talking to people about the stressful situations that you kind of want to avoid. If you understand these communication skills, I guarantee they will be really helpful in managing disagreements among friends or your partner and will alleviate some of the stress. Another way to cope with friendships and relationships, especially in university, is to try new hobbies. So trying new hobbies not only allows you to connect more with friends that you already have, maybe you want to have a Zoom movie night or just maybe working out together over Zoom or even outside. That would be a great way to maintain your connections with the friends you have. But also if you want to try new hobbies like taking a class online or just going somewhere new over the summer, this is a great way to meet new friends too. Especially in university, joining a new club might be easier now that it's online and you don't have to you don't even have to turn on your camera. You can just go to a new club or organization and see what's going on and potentially meet new friends. And lastly, you could reach out through Instagram or WhatsApp. Especially in university right now, every course I have, there's a WhatsApp group that goes along with it where you can talk to all the people in your classroom or just vent about the stressful homework. And that is a great way to meet new friends and just talk to people that are in not only your class, but even in the same program or have the same career goals as you. Right. And then the third common stressor I wanted to talk about today are family concerns. So this includes stuff like divorce, financial issues, poor communication, pressure that your parents or siblings are putting on you, and even family illness. This is especially important right now with the pandemic. This is definitely a stress on a lot of our minds. And as I mentioned before, friendship and support systems, this includes your family, are very essential for your mental health. Some ways to cope if you're experiencing some difficulties in your own family is to look into family therapy. This option isn't open to everyone. I understand that some families are just maybe not, they're new to the idea of therapy. But if you happen to find a therapist that would work with your family together, or maybe with just a parent, in order to facilitate helpful communication and to maybe help mediate some issues, that would definitely be something to look into. Another way to cope with family concerns is, just like I mentioned before, Finding new hobbies to do with your family. So whether that's going on a nightly walk with your family, doing family movie night or family game night, these are all ways to help strengthen the relationship you have with your family in a stronger and more fun way. You can also look back at Gottman's communication skills. These skills are not only helpful with friendships or with relationships, but they're also helpful with your family. So especially since families, come from different generations or even different cultures, it's important to recognize ways to talk to your family in a way that isn't like aggressive or accusatory. And lastly, sometimes our family, we have to accept that our family maybe is just not on the right page as us. Maybe we will never agree with some people in our family, and that's also okay. It's important to build other support systems outside of just your family. So whether that's strengthening your friendships, having relationships with your professors and or other students or members of your clubs, stuff like that is really essential to build other support systems outside of your family so you can feel a sense of community outside of your own home.
So one of another reason is changes. You will be shifting soon. You're going to be living in a new environment, away from your family, and sometimes more independence can lead to more stressfulness. It is more stressful to be living alone. I moved from India to Canada, and it was extremely stressful going away from family, going away from friends, moving to a different country, language barriers. There's just a lot of changes that you will have to make sometimes. Ways to cope for this is create relationships. College is something that you have to do on your own, but you can always share the load. So you can engage with your friends, you can engage with us as your mentors, advisors, professors. It makes it a lot easier to share the stress. Taking care of your brain is extremely important. So you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, you need to exercise, because these three things, they feed your brain. Another really important thing is knowing your values and knowing what lines you will and will not cross, because when you come into university, you're going to meet a lot of different people. Some might be for you and some might not. So it's important to know who you are as a person and as well as a student. Financial issues. A lot of families have financial problems, and you do come in as an undergraduate student, which is heavy on your pocket sometimes. Not knowing how to budget is something that a lot of students find very hard. It's very hard to budget initially when you're starting off. Spending unnecessary, like spending money on unnecessary things. You're gonna go to Target, you're gonna go to Walmart, and you're gonna go crazy with setting up your dorm room and things like that. You're going to end up spending on things that are unnecessary. I did this. I'm sure a lot of undergraduate students have done this. Exchange rates. So like I said, I came from India. I am Indian. So a lot of financial stress is that the rates keep changing. The dollar to the rupee keeps changing. So ways to cope for this is get in touch with a professional developmental mentor from CSR. We do have them on our board, and they are extremely helpful, and they will help you throughout any stress you are facing due to financial issues. Creating a monthly budget. So this is what I did as a university student when I came into my first year, because I was finding it extremely hard to budget. So the picture here you can see on the right hand side, it is a template that you can find on Google or even Pinterest. You can get these really cute ones also that you can just like frame and put in your dorm room. It's a lot easier to budget because these are already broken down for you, so you just need to kind of fill in according to what you have. Speaking to financial services from your own university or your school, or even like a financial advisor, you need to talk about money, because you need to know the costs, how you're going to be paying for them, and transparency when it comes to money is extremely important. I find it very easy to connect with my family regarding this, because they are the ones supporting me for my education. So talking to them and being transparent with how much I'm spending where, not lying to my parents about where the money is going. These things are extremely important as a student, and that's why I keep saying financial transparency is integral, because you are going to overspend, like I said, but if you know that you're supposed to control it, you spend less. Okay, the COVID-19 pandemic. This has been extremely stressful for students, and all these studies prove that, you know, it's generated educational, economic, as well as environmental stressors, affecting not only college but as well as like high school students or elementary kids that are coming into the whole university and college life. Gender and sexual orientation do play a big role in this. So it is reported that women are doing way worse than men, and people from the LGBTQ community are performing lower than their cisgender and heterosexual peers. And I know this can be hard. This can be a hard time because you're stuck at home, and sometimes your family is not accepting for who you are, or, you know, just your friends, or you're not meeting friends, or you're just kind of stuck in your house, and it's extremely stressful to be going through this. So ways to cope for this, according to the American Psychology Association, is practicing self-care. You need to be getting enough sleep, you need to exercise, and you need to eat well. Like I said, these feed your brain. Taking care of your brain is extremely important right now. There are a few apps that I would also recommend, mindful apps such as Headspace and Calm. These apps are really nice to kind of just sit down, meditate, or even sleep to. Like, they have these audios that really calm you down and let you sleep throughout the night, which is something I find hard sleeping, because I'm always stressed about school, or I'm stressed about, you know, when am I going to go back, or, you know, just things like that because of the pandemic. Limiting your media consumption. I know it's very addicting to be on Instagram and seeing all your posts, and, you know, just constantly reading about what's going on, and the cases, and, you know, the death rates. And it's I know it's a horrible time, but sometimes it's worse to just keep staying on the app and just keep seeing the same thing. So it's good to be informed, but everything's good and everything's bad, so you need to limit yourself to media. The future. I'm sure all of you already have this question, even if you aren't in university yet. What are you going to do with your life? Are you selecting the right major? What college or university are you going to look at? You know, are you on the right path? Are you going to get a job? And when are you going to go back? This is a question I've been having for over a year. Like, you know, when am I coming back to Canada? What's going to happen? Will I get like a permanent residency? You know, it's extremely stressful, and I get that. I've gone through this on an extremely high scale. And some ways to cope with this, according to Dr. Tracy, is identifying your purpose. So what do you want your life to look like after you graduate? So try to avoid thinking about the negatives. Just sit down and think about, what do I want my life to look like? Like, what I tend to do is I sit down with a pen and paper, and I'm like, okay, this is my life right now. What do I want it to look like after I graduate? Or even not after I graduate, what do I want it to look like in the next year? You know, what are my goals? What are my aspirations? Who am I looking at, like, as a mentor? Also about, you know, is your major right for you? Are you in the right field? This is something that you will face, and people often call this the midlife crisis of a student. But quite honestly, you rather sit and focus on the skills that you're going to need in any workplace in the future. So maybe developing like soft skills or hard skills, like, you know, learning Microsoft, like, you know, Excel, Word, you know, things like this you're going to need in any workspace that you go into. Communication skills, you know, things like that. You rather focus on this than thinking about like, oh, you know, am I in the right major? Am I, you know, that's something that really drains you emotionally, as well as causes stress and anxiety. So sitting down and focusing on skills that you will need is easier. Last is looking at transcendental meditation. Now, I know everyone is not into like yoga and meditation, because I get that it's not for everyone, but transcendental meditation is proven to help you kind of focus and tune into your brain and your body. So maybe try it out. I don't know, you know, sit and watch a YouTube video about it and things like that. That's how I started. You know, the apps like Calm and these apps that I got into, I would just sit down one day and like go through YouTube videos, like, oh, what is this about? Like, can I get into this? And that's how I started yoga, which has been extremely beneficial for me to kind of de-stress and kind of get into a zone of studying, which I often find hard.
All right, so we made a list of some resources you can use, and if you want to look up some resources and just ways to cope yourself, here are 2 links. And the last link is an international crisis hotline. So they basically have the number for the crisis hotline in almost every single country you can think of. So wherever you are in the world, if you are experiencing an immediate crisis, then you can call this hotline to get help. But other than that, you can check out these 2 links over here if you want just some more tips or more information about stress as a young adult and undergrad student. So that was the end of our presentation. Now I wanted to ask you guys if you have any questions or any input. Have you heard of any of these ways to cope already? Did anything surprise you? And yes, we can get you guys the PowerPoint because we will be posting the recording of this presentation, and we can also send the PowerPoint too. So that's honestly such a great question, because when I first started university, I was majoring in psychology because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I was minoring in French studies because I am at Glendon at York, which is York's bilingual campus. So I was like, French campus, I like French, so I will minor in French. But as I was in my first year, I was taking psychology courses, like the introductory courses, and I was taking a French course. But I was also taking electives, which I feel are so important for you if you are still unsure. Just taking in your first year, like besides your like the classes you need to take just random courses that just interest you or that you've always wanted to try, because that's when I started taking sociology courses. Just because in high school I took one sociology class and I like kind of enjoyed it. It was fine. I liked it. So I wanted to try one in university. And after taking that one sociology class, I changed my minor to sociology. And that's what I've been doing now, going into my 4th year. So just taking different electives like really helped me. And also, even if you don't major or minor in something, you can still take electives. Like, for example, I'm really interested in like gender and women's studies. So I've taken a lot of like women's history courses, sexuality studies courses. That doesn't mean that I'm majoring or minoring in it, but they do interest me. So I can just, put them in my schedule as electives. And it also helps with making the courses that you need to take less stressful, because you have the fun courses and then you also have the courses that you need to take. So it kind of balances it out.
So I as well entered as a psychology major, and I knew I always wanted to do music, but I was super nervous because I had very little experience in music. And like Brianna said, you can come in, you can take courses that just, they just interest you. Like sometimes I would look at a course description and be like, hey, that's really cool. I take that. And I took it. And it's not necessary that you have to have a degree in them, but you can just sit and enjoy the class. You learn so many different things each time. So then I picked up my minor in music in my 2nd year, but I have also taken a lot of gender and women's studies, a lot of religious topics, a lot of history topics as well. So you can stick to your interests. Like it's a completely flexible module as soon as you're into university.
Even Priyanka mentioned in the chat that you can explore your interests through clubs and charities and volunteering. That's actually like a really good point, because I am majoring in psychology, minoring in sociology, but I'm also the editor-in-chief of Glendon student newspaper. And that's like, to me, it seems completely out of like psychology and sociology. And I only joined the newspaper in my 3rd year of university because it just interested me. Like I thought it was just gonna be fun. And then like now I'm the editor-in-chief, and it's good to have like kind of composing, like contradictory like interest. So I'm interested in psychology and I plan to be a psychotherapist. So that's what I'm studying. But also stuff like journalism and writing has always interested me. And now I can do that in my own time through clubs. And even you can look up different volunteer like organizations that are near your school or near your campus if you want to like try out more activities, and also clubs too, because like especially at school, no club is gonna like say you're not good enough or that you can't join. If you're interested in like dance or music or anything like that, there will be a club for you. And it took me a long time to realize that. Everyone always says like join a club when you start university, but I was kind of nervous at first, so I didn't really join any clubs until my third year. And after that, like I wish I did it earlier because it really allows you to connect with people and gain skills and explore your interests at the same time. I definitely can see that, especially at U of T. There's so many people, and it's really hard to stand out. I have a little bit of a different experience at the Glendon campus of York. There's only about 2,000 students like overall, so it's kind of like high school where you know everyone there already. But in like a big setting like a U of T or even the Kiel campus at York, it seems like you're just a number, and it's really hard to stand out. For that reason, I definitely suggest joining a club then, because it'll give you like just an opportunity to join the people who are really passionate in something, and that makes you stand out. That helps you gain skills that you can use after university, so that you don't feel like inferior to others. Even if you don't manage to join a club in your first few years, understanding that everyone has their own different paths really helps me. Like in high school, it's like you go to high school and you finish in 4 years and everyone graduates in 4 years. But once you're out of high school, everyone has different paths. Some programs are 3-year programs, some are 4 years, some are 6 years, sometimes need to take a year off. And we really should not be judging anyone's path at university, and just understand that everyone goes through things at their own pace. It's not like you're gonna get a job right away after 4 years. Sometimes there's time to take a break or do an internship or volunteer, and everyone is on their own path. So there's really no use in like comparing or even judging other people's paths. It's all about I feel just accepting where you're at and doing what works for you at your pace, trying out new things, and just feeling fulfilled in what you're doing rather than comparing yourself to your peers.
I would also say, using facilities on campus. So maybe if you like going to the gym or you like walking around, these activities kind of root you down and like allow you to love yourself a lot more, and calm you down and not allow you to compare yourself. And these are things that are proven to just like work, like yoga, transcendental meditation, or maybe just taking a walk, having the night off, watching a movie in your dorm room, just kind of calming yourself down and knowing that you are who you are, and that's completely okay and completely acceptable and should be by everyone.
So I mentioned in the chat that we will be having another session closer to the beginning of the school year about how to manage your time and school if you're feeling like school is really overwhelming and you have no more time or free time to yourself. Another thing that helped me was, and it kind of goes with what Zania was saying, is that I found out the hard way that taking a full course load of 5 courses was a lot for me, and I was really overwhelmed. I didn't have any free time to myself, so I started taking 4 course loads instead of 5. And that's when I would start comparing myself, and I'd be like, well, my friends are taking 5 course loads and they're not struggling, and they're going to graduate faster than I am because they're taking 5 courses and I'm only taking 4. But to me, it helped me like so much knowing that I can take 4 courses and still have free time to myself and like not go crazy basically. And it also helps if you want to maybe reduce the amount of courses you're taking during the school year. and maybe take one summer course to make up for it. That way you are like consistently studying throughout the school year. I know for me personally, I always take courses in the summertime because if I don't, I would not be doing anything else. I would just be sitting at home. So might as well just take a class or something like that. When we're managing like extracurricular activities and your course load, like I said before, I'm taking a lot of summer classes this semester so that next year in my final year, I'll only need to take 3 courses per semester instead of the usual 5. So now that I'm taking 3 courses, I have a lot more time to focus on my extracurricular, which is being the editor-in-chief of the school newspaper and also volunteering with the CSR charity. So that really helps balance it out. If I was taking a full course load, I would still be able to do these stuff, but it might be a bit more overwhelming for me, and I might have less free time to myself to do just other things outside of this. So it's all about balancing. And I feel like you know your limits as well. If you feel like one semester you can't commit to an extracurricular, then it's okay to take a break from that and focus on your studies. Or like the other way around, if you want to take a break from your studies, maybe take less courses one semester instead of a full course load. It's all about what you're able to manage. So for that, I'd recommend the CSR academic mentorship because they would definitely be able to help you with managing your major specifically too, and managing extracurriculars and your major, and maybe like note-taking skills or things like that, to help you reduce the amount of time you spend on or make the time you spend on your homework more productive. That way you don't need to spend hours doing one thing. Maybe it'll take you just 1 hour. And that'll help you manage your time too. And I just wanted to wrap it up. So thank you all for coming to our first session. Our following sessions will be diving deeper into some of the things we already mentioned, like closer to the school year, we'll be having a session about managing school stress. Specifically, we'll be having a session on making new friends, a session on self-care. So I really recommend you all come to our following sessions. And again, if you have any other questions, please email us at this email we left in the chat. You can copy and paste it. And it's also the email we sent the Zoom link from. And invite your friends if you feel they benefit from personal development and mental health mentorship. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everyone.